Well, there's some features of this mud wagon that are real similar to mountain wagons and spring wagons. And it's some of those features that we're going to work on today. Well, in the last video on this mud wagon, I did get the sideboards roughly cut out and the top frame piece. Well, I've got to trim these to actual size and then do some routing that'll be the finished trim work on these sideboards. Well, these iron braces are what go through the framework that goes across where the rocker frame braces are. This is about a 1/2 inch thick raised trim that goes where each of these iron braces are. There's one in the front, and I'm assuming there's one in the rear. That one is not there. But this thickness here is where the sideboard would have been. This iron goes to the inside of the sideboard. And these don't show any sign of a washer underneath. I think these are still original. These have a slight bevel on them. They aren't a 45. They're more like maybe a 30. And I'm going to show you where there's signs that these were on the old original sideboards. So this is the front left corner, and you can see a slight line here across the cross grain where the vertical trim piece would have been. This is on the front left corner. Then this same mark is evident here, and this is in the location of the cross brace of the rocker brace here. This would have been the cross framework. This front of the driver's box is tilted forward, pulling this forward, but this mark here where this trim piece was would have lined up with the front cross member where the rocker brace was. The second rocker brace is where this board here was missing, but there's a little bit of a sign here where that raised framework would have been in line with the back brace of the rocker. And so since these sideboards are inset 1/2 inch from this bottom frame and this top cap, these 1 3/4 strips will go on the very end, and then they'll come in at the 34 mark where the rocker brace will be. And there won't be anything in the middle cross brace for the floor. There'll be one at the 67. These are all 1 3/4 by 1/2. This back one, the inside iron for the luggage boot is 2 inch. So I think I'm going to make a 2 inch by 1/2 that'll match that on the back end. You have the 4 irons that go at the braces of the rockers. There's this 5th one that is a little unique. Has a hole in the top of it. I was kind of puzzling as to why, but I found the mate to it on the left side. So in the center brace you can see there is this iron with the hole on the top that also matches this iron. Why that hole is there, at this point I'm not sure. It was interesting to note that 2 of these have square nuts and the other 2 have hexagon nuts, the old style hexagon nuts. Why? I don't know. So these were the 2 that came off the center cross frame. These 2 match up in hole spacings. These are the two that have the hex nuts on them. Their hole spacings are wider apart and they're also countersunk. And we have two of these raised trim pieces. One matches the wider spacing of these, and one matches the narrower spacing of these two. Now, which one is on the first cross frame or the third cross frame? Maybe we can tell that on the sideboard. So this is a placement of the rocker on the right hand side. And we have these two irons here with the two different spacings. Now there's a center hole here, I'm not sure what that is. If I line this hole up with this bottom hole, there is no corresponding hole in this area. If I line this up on this one, this hole is above, which was rotted out and gone, could possibly have been there. So I'm thinking these countersunk ones were probably in the front, and these narrower spacing ones were on the rear brace of the rocker. Well, this is the best trim on the side that I have. So if I take my angle finder and match that angle, it turns out what I was guessing was 30 degrees is actually 25. And I'm not sure if you can pick that up or not. So I was going to do this by hand, but I did end up finding a router bit with a 25 degree angle for a chamfer. And so I'm going to just go ahead and route these angles in. So these trim pieces are actually 1 3/4 wide, where I was guessing at 2, but 1 3/4. And it looks like this bevel comes up to within about a 1/2 inch, maybe, might be just a fuzz less, coming into each of the joints where they intersect. So these joints are going to accommodate the cross frame of the top itself, and I put these on the back side of the rear driver's box frame, and then the top bow I'm thinking will set over the top portion of this upright position, and that will recess this back frame back a little bit and allow me to put some batting or some cushion for a backrest for the drivers as they drive this coach. So with the routing of the frame and the top frame and these little uprights, I think I can go ahead now and finish gluing this driver's box frame into place. Then I'll be ready to put the sideboards on. I think that's where I'm at. I'm going to let this glue set up before I finish off these joints and put some screws in and begin the process of assembling the side panels on this for the box. So we're drawing near to an end of 2022, and I just want to say I appreciate all of you who have been following along. Your comments are real supportive, and I appreciate that, and the constructive feedback that I've been receiving. My wife really enjoys watching your comments, and she feeds that a lot back to me as well. So I hope you all have the best of 2023, and we'll continue on this mud wagon project, and you know, I've got some other projects going too. Anyway, I appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.